Oh, Holly, I am so sorry, but there's more.
So yesterday, for about 30 seconds, I was naively optimistic enough to think that I was going to read the full case on net neutrality out of the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. So just out of morbid curiosity, I stopped by the judges page to see, who we're working with here. I noticed one of the appellate judges on the panel, Richard Griffin, down here. And then my eyes wandered up here, and I saw a commission date of 1985. These are all the active judges for the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals out of Ohio. These are the dates that they were tapped by the president to become a federal judge. Do you know who was president in 1985, Holly? Because I unfortunately do. That was Reagan. How can this be? So I quickly, but very apprehensively, Googled his name and come to find out he was born in 1929. Remember the stock market crash of 1929? Neither do I, because I wasn't alive yet. But this guy was, and he's apparently still a judge. 95 years old. So I go onto Wikipedia to read his bio, because you can't stop me now. I've fallen down the rabbit hole. And I see that initially President Ford nominated him to a district court in Michigan. And then he was appointed by Reagan to adjudicate on the Sixth Court of Appeals in 1985. He assumed senior status on 1994. What does that mean for a judge? Is he retired? Oh my God. It turns out that senior status for federal judges means that they are semi-retired, but not completely. In fact, to remain in senior status, they have to carry 25% of their former workload. 25% of a federal judge's caseload, that's what they have to maintain. For doing that, they get to have an office with a staff, all the law clerks they could want, their annual cost of living increases, and I guess their pension. Who knows? Maybe they get both. I'm not sure. But I don't even care about that. We know there's tons of politicians gaming the system. What I care about is that a 95-year-old man is still adjudicating 25%, a quarter of a caseload. That's too many cases for someone that was appointed when Reagan was in office. If we move on to the next judge that was appointed when Reagan was in office, his picture is up on the Federalist Society webpage. That's never a good sign. But don't worry, y'all, he's only 80. So I guess he'll be able to be in senior status another 15 years if we're going by Judge Guy's timeline. Hear me when I say this, hear me well, because I have been one of the people less excited about age limits for politicians, because I feel like if we have proper term limits, then age limits aren't going to really be an issue. But I guess I was wrong. And maybe it just offends millennials, because we know we'd love to retire someday. Well, we're probably not going to be able to, because we're either going to be dead or we're not going to have enough money to, because no offense, boomers, but y'all keep hoarding all the jobs and the housing and electing crappy politicians. Look at all these senior judges that are just chilling, having a quarter of the workload that they used to have, but they still get to exert their influence in an area that they shouldn't be in anymore. Because what, they want to wear a robe and have a secretary? If it's really about respecting the bench and the judicial system, why don't you step aside and let younger minds take over? You know, people who went to school in this century. Oh, does that sound ageist? I don't know what to tell you, but at 95, you should be doing something with your life. I don't know what that is, but working as a judge isn't it, especially if you were nominated by Reagan, just full stop. Also, worth reminding, every single time the Republicans block the Democrats' ability to add judges, federal judges, this is what happens. So like how they wouldn't let President Obama appoint any federal judges like the last 2 years of his tenure. Guess who got to appoint those? That's right, it was Trump. And so I guess a judge who favors Republican ideology could go into semi-retirement, still collect all of his money and benefits, and then a president like Trump can appoint another judge, someone that's friendly to the Republican cause. Do you see why it's really important to pick the right person to be in charge of the executive branch? Because I'm not 100% convinced people recognize why this is so important. These people stay on long past the president. So this just makes all of our jobs that much harder. And so when people are like, oh, don't worry, it's just 4 years. We've survived President Trump before. It's not just 4 years. It's not just 4 years.